Reed-Enever, and welcome back to another episode of Ask Linda. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Linda Reed-Enever. I'm a publicist and marketing consultant, and I love teaching others what I do. And this Ask Linda series is just part of what I do. So here, today's question has been, what is the best way to contact journalists and how do you get in front of them when you don't have a relationship with them yet? That is a great question, and thank you for asking me. I'm looking forward to answering that one for you today. The best way to contact journalists when you don't have a network with them. Okay, so there's a number of ways you can do this. You can do a bit of research. You can follow them on Twitter, or you can use a service like we run here at Media Connections, which allows you to connect with a database of journalists that are there for you. But either way, whatever you do throughout the process, it's about making sure that you've got that story right and that press release right, and whatever you do is consistently done throughout the process. So working with the media when you want to share your story with journalist networks, it's about making sure that you've got a what's in it for them component to it. So when you want to contact journalists, it's not a sales pitch. It very much is a human interest angle, or what was the story behind the business, or why behind the business is going to come into it. So back to the question though, I suppose, it's about what is the best way to contact them. It's about looking at the journalist, and if you're doing your own research, it's about following their Twitter profile, seeing what style they write, and seeing whether your story fits them first, or reading a little bit about what they write in a publication and seeing if that story hits them first. The thing about working with the media is we also need to think ahead of time, as much as we want to newsjack and get into newsjacking and work on that. And that's another Ask Linda video down the track. I'll get into what's in a newsjacking one down the track. You do want to make sure that you're thinking ahead of time, you're giving the journalist enough lead time. So that 90 to 120 day window is normally when I say you start your press release campaign. You start sharing that out there. So you might touch base with the first release. Now, if it's an event you're wanting to invite a journalist to, then you would do that. You do a media invite and you would invite them to the event, and you might do that via email, or you might do that via a Twitter direct message. Most journalists, if you're following them on social media, will have a bit of indication about how they like to be contacted. The things you don't do when you're contacting a journalist is you don't hound them. You follow up, you have a personal contact with them. It is about building a relationship. So you might talk about a piece that they've written and then say, this is a piece that I've got coming into it. But don't hound them. Don't talk to them when they're on air, especially don't try and email them or phone call them when they're a producer on air. That would be the big tip from there. So if you're wanting to do your research, it's about looking at the publications, looking at the journalists, socially following them, getting to know what they write, and then pitching your story to them that way after you know that it's a right fit for them. The other way of getting in contact with journalists that you don't know what to begin with are using sites like us and SourceBottle. Media Connections is a great hub in relation to the point of we allow you to proactively share your story with the media. You get the opportunity to be able to go through our How to Write a Media Release course, and we literally share with you ideas every Monday morning with different angles, and that you can tap into to contact your press release journalists out there. We have the network. We're currently sitting at around 5,000 journalists. 500 was where we started back almost 5 years ago. We're currently sitting at 5,000 journalists that are there in different categories that have opted in to receive news, especially from small business owners just like yourself. The other side out there is SourceBottle, where you can proactively respond to journalist call-outs. And Beck Darrington has done a great job with SourceBottle. So, by all means, tap into that resource as well, and you can build your relationships, but only pitch for what is relevant for you. Please don't pitch a story through to a journalist, whether it's a Media Connections call out, or it's a SourceBottle call out, or it's a call out you saw somewhere else online. If you don't fit, okay, make sure that you do fit. The biggest thing about working with journalists and creating a relationship is reminding them that you're there. That's continually keeping a newsroom, if you use one like Media Connections, up to date with good story ideas. It's about looking at what's happening around you and happening in your industry, and providing very good, strong content that the media can get into. Your press release, when you write it and you submit it to a site or you pitch it to a journalist, needs to be enough to entice their information. And remember, once again, working with the media is not a sales pitch. It's about building a relationship with a story about what a reader can find for you and your business. So the best way to work with journalists is either research, and get to know them, get to follow them, and then pitch to them via either email or phone, or via social media as well. So get to follow them, and by following them, they get to follow you back. The other way of doing it is to tap into a resource hub. So tap into a news distribution hub like ourselves at Media Connections, or respond to call outs as you see them as well, because all of those three components make up a strong media campaign. And we do all of them for our clients. And I even suggest to Media Connections members that just because they become a member and pitch stories to us doesn't mean that they shouldn't be networking with journalists, following the journalists, and sharing those press releases as they put them live in Media Connection via their socials and those sorts of things. So the journalists who are following them, who've been thinking about running a story, might be able to connect with them. But remember, like all things, working with a journalist is a relationship. It's about a personal experience. So make sure that you're polite, you use your manners, and you respect that they have a job to do as equally as much as you have a job to get your story out there in the media. So research or network, and once again, it takes time, it takes persistence, but it all does pay off in the end.